We walk amongst ghosts every day, be it sights of war and strife, or poverty and horror. The twisting, snaking paths are beautiful, but can lead us to some things undiscovered and terrifying. From the Mississippi Delta to the jungles of the Far East, the dead demand to be acknowledged. This is what we do here. Welcome to the House of Asher.
Hello everybody, yes, and welcome to the House of Asher. I am your humble host, Steve Asher, and I hope you guys are doing well. This part of the world, which is the U.S., we are celebrating the 4th of July, and it's kind of a uniquely, well, obviously it's a uniquely American thing, but, I know there's different places, they have Boxing Day and this and that, and the different sort of holidays for different things. King's Day in different parts where they still have their kings. Anyway, so it's sort of an interesting thing. Not everybody gets it, just like a lot of Americans don't always get holidays from other regions. But it is something that still holds pretty close to people's hearts. I know it does to mine. I probably should have mentioned that I'm not sure if you're listening to me on YouTube, Spreaker, iHeart, Spotify, all those different kinds of podcast outlets out there. But I thank you for listening to my show. It's nice, and I like getting feedback from you guys. It was pretty cool. I'd got some emails from my last show, and I'm just doing shorter shows now. It's just what it is, and it's going to be okay, which hopefully it means more subject matter for you, but it's going to be all right. So they were talking to me about Bigfoot and like certain ones, like whitish-looking Bigfoots, which to me sounds more like a polar bear or a Yeti, but for whatever reason they have white fur, black hands, very primate-looking. I'll sort of say primate-ish. I don't think that's a word. Maybe in Western Kentucky it's a word. Okay, I'll own it. Primate-ish. It's mine. So anyway, and they were talking about different areas and about, putting your trash out further toward the woods, and especially if you're throwing out food or bones or stuff like that. And, they were talking about putting apples and things like that out on the branches, which is fine, man. I mean, I know some people do that to lure in deer too, which whatever. But I know I was talking to a friend of mine, and I said, honestly, why don't you let those babies kind of rot for a day, a couple weeks, put them up on a higher branch so the deers don't get them. And if there are any Bigfoot, they'll certainly get them. As I understand, a lot of animals like fermented fruits because it gets them crunk. So that's one thing you can do. But anyway, back to today's subject. And there'll be more on the Bigfoot thing and all that as we can do. I'm getting some requests to come do some cons and some book signings. I've just got to juggle it with work because at the moment I work weekends, which, thanks, boss. Thank you so much for that. Knowing that I'm a writer, telling you that I would like to get back to weekends, and you've totally work blocked me. Thanks, bro. Thank you so much. Anyway, I mean, they pay me, whatever. But 4th of July. Yes, sir. So, obviously, people think of the Revolutionary War and Revolutionary War patriots. And you would think this being Kentucky, we wouldn't have a gob of them. You would think it would more be like Boston and places like that, and it's just not true. There is a area not super far from us as Kentucky goes. Probably more, they say it's Western Kentucky. I say it's more Central Kentucky compared to where I'm at. But a little area called Bowling Green, Kentucky. And it's a pretty cool little area. Decent population, stuff to do, whatnot. Pretty chill people. There's an area known as the Pioneer Cemetery. Now, this is right around, is it College Street, College Avenue? 501 College Street. I don't know why I want to say College Avenue. But it's also known as Public Cemetery. which is a very kind of generic thing. They should have called it the Revolutionary Veterans something. It would sound a little bit more regal. But anyway, they ended up changing it from apparently Repose Cemetery. That's metal. Repose. Resting. Well-earned rest. Anyway, from what I understand, though, apparently there's a lot of slaves buried there along with their owners. I don't know what that says. You can come to your own conclusions about that. But a lot of people died of typhoid around that time, fever, whooping cough, all kinds of other illnesses. And it was almost to its capacity by the early 1860s, like hecka full of dead folks. There's actually, I think there's more than 103, 105 something unnamed soldiers are buried within the cemetery. And apparently the First Presbyterian Church was close to there. Anyway, I think the first burial there was probably 1811, somewhere like that. I know that they have soldiers from the Revolutionary War. There was I don't want to say an officer or whichever, I don't know what is his exact rank, but Henry Grider. Okay. Now there's also Civil War, Mexican War, the War of 1812. A lot of people died here. But one of the things I remember someone talking about is they were doing, I don't know if it was like an investigation or a ghost tour or just walking amongst the stones. It's something I always just like to do, and just kind of check the dates, look at the names, kind of get a feel for the families that are there, maybe imagine what their lives were like back then, barring the typhoid and all the other god-awful crap that happened to you on the Oregon Trail game. So, but this girl, and I guess it was her boyfriend, I don't know, but they were taking some voice recordings and temperature measurements and crap like that. It had been a pretty calm night. It was a little foggy because I think that there's some body of water not far from there. I don't know the name of it. I apologize. But they started getting clicks on the temperature changes. This was above the fog, below the fog. Very little wind. So everything just hung, on the stones. And the further they got toward the center of the graveyard, the more the activity was. And the more that they started having just the darndest feeling something was there. Well, by the time they were pretty much to the middle, they were pretty uncomfortable. These were not novice, but they certainly weren't, long in the tooth hunters. They probably 5 years or under. So anyway, they were doing this, and they started getting some malfunctions. The classic voice recorders started going wonky. Temperature gauges started going wonky. Even their cameras started acting up. Well, by this time, they were going, look, we're pretty deep in here. It's a moonless night. We're going to end up getting stuck in this graveyard and we're going to be tripping, breaking our necks trying to get out of here. So they slowly started kind of going back the path and general direction they were. And things were okay. But then they started hearing, it was strange, like I guess you would say it's metallic, sort of a metallic sound. And it was accompanied by the sort of kind of a clop clop sound every so often, not a continuing, but like clop, and it would stop. About 2 minutes later, clop 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 clop. It was really weird, and it was almost like they would go so far, stop, have to do something, go a few more 10 feet, do something else, and they would hear as they got closer to the outer part of the graveyard. They were still getting readings, as strong as they were in the center. And by this point, they swore to me that they could almost hear a whistling. I said, could it have been a tree? Could, what wind through the trees or something? There had been nothing like it all night. There was no wind. How are you going to have wind whistling through the trees when there is no wind? The trees were still as a tomb. Well, by this point, they were thoroughly freaked out. They started kind of running up through where they could see where they could get up and out of the graveyard. By this point, I think their devices started working again. The camera, I think, was on. She kind of grabbed it to keep it from flopping, and it popped off, pop, a couple shots from behind them, and they kept running. Well, they got to their car. Thank God it started. They didn't see anything moving, but they did see the fog move from different spots down through the old part of the graveyard. It was something sizable, almost like the size of a small tractor. Well, they got in their car. They said, forget this, we are done for tonight. And they went home. And freaked him out really bad. They left it alone. Actually, he was the one that was freaked out. He didn't want to mess with it. And he's like, yeah, we'll look at all this crap in the morning. Well, they called a little late dinner, went to sleep. She comes waking him up, probably about 6:30 in the morning. You got to see this. He's like, what? What are you talking? He's not even awake. See what? So on the camera, they notice, some noise. They notice some whistling and rustling and the sounds of clopping noises. And in between all of this activity, something that looked like a spectral wagon pulling up in front of small graves. Looks like something was set off and then they were going on. Almost like whoever worked there was still depositing the bodies of these soldiers and trying to whistle a tune, trying to be positive, trying to keep their spirits up in this dark time. Now, I'm told that this absolutely happened. I take people's stories at face value. But I tell you what, I don't think it's something I'd want to see. I don't think it's something I want to deal with. But I do have to be thankful to, I'll just say her first name, Joanna H., for telling me about this. It definitely food for thought. The holiday isn't just about barbecuing, and people gave their lives for what they believed in, and on both sides. So for me, it's something good to remember. But on that dark note, I do want to thank you guys for tuning in for this segment of House of Asher. You can find us, like I said, on YouTube, iHeart, Spotify. You can find me at steveasher.studio.com to find out about my books, my book signings, all those heck of fun things I'm up to. But as the shadows grow long, as the sun sets behind the pines, check your back room, check your back porch, check out that wooded path just beyond your home. You never know what you may find. But even though it's scary, there's learning in fear, and there's knowledge in discovery. So always be ever vigilant. And please, always stay